fingers. Both Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell said that the way the organization treated Big Ben played a role in their unhappiness. Well, General Manager Kevin Colbert said this weekend that all the talk around Ben is just, quote, white noise, and the team is comfortable with Ben as the quarterback and leader. Former Steeler James Harrison is still with us. Well, James, how much is Ben to blame for the Steelers' problems?
I don't think a lot of the blame goes on Ben because, you know, you have Antonio saying something and you have, Le'Veon saying something. So I think your opinion of a person is built on the relationship that you have with that person. So my relationship with Ben is a good relationship. I think Ben is a good leader. That's my opinion. To them, they may not have that same relationship. And to that same, your lack of in the relationship will build what you think or what you perceive to be what you're looking at, what may not actually, be what it is. Right. So your perception is actually built from that too. And the fact that you don't have a more in-depth relationship with that person leads you to believe that it may be something different. So for them, with their speaking, that is their truth. For me, I think Ben is a good leader. I know Ben a little more in depth than they do, obviously, because they felt like they needed to build a better relationship with, with their quarterback, or their quarterback needed to build a better relationship with them. With that being said, both sides have to initiate something if you want that to go on. So it's fought on them and it's fought on Ben as far as them not getting the relationship that they want. You could do something as simple as, saying, let's set a, you don't want to go out to the club, let's set a dinner. Every Tuesday we get together for dinner. We sit there, we talk, we may watch film or whatever to try and build some type of bond or relationship. If that's what it is, you feel like it's going to help you out.
Did you recommend that to Antonio or Le'Veon?
No, I didn't. I actually talked to Ben, and everyone has their own characteristics of how they deal with things, how they interact with people, and whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it is what it is. And he was talking to me, and we were talking about what he felt like he could do to try and bond the relationship, or try and just at least get a common ground to where they could talk. And I'm like, you can try and reach out and do whatever it is, but at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to communicate, then they're not going to communicate. And I think, like a few guys have said, the perception of Ben being above everyone else, that's what it looks like because of how he's treated in the organization. And to some guys, not being able to go up and talk to him, they feel maybe intimidated that they can't do that. Or they feel that if they do something wrong, that he has the power to, maybe, put limitations on, their career. And that's not true. I've never known Ben to do anything like that. Or have I heard him, from anybody in the organization like that saying that he has tried to do that.
So, Shannon, he says he's a good leader. You have been very critical of him, and you don't think he's a good leader.
I do not, because I think the thing is that when they had their best success, is that he was not asked to be the leader. Jerome Bettis and Hines Ward and Joey Porter and Troy Polamalu, James Harris. It was, and the thing is, too much is given, much is required. And for being good leaders, don't immediately after the game, Antonio Brown, I threw an interception. Yes, I did. But Antonio Brown ran the route short. And then you remember that play on third down that I had James Washington? He's got to make that catch. That's not what leaders do. Leaders don't say, well, even when Le'Veon Bell comes back, James Conner should not lose any touches. That's not for Ben to decide. Ben is not the coach. And they're looking at Ben like, Ben, you're talking like you're the coach. You're trying to make decisions as if you're the coach, and you're not. I believe that Antonio Brown, now, I've been on record, documented. Antonio Brown is at fault here too. He has a lot of faults that which he could have done things differently. I don't get why they're upset at Le'Veon. Le'Veon just refused to sign the franchise tag because he's like, I'm not going to let y'all put this amount of carries on my body again. And for some reason, he became selfish. Once Le'Veon wanted to do what was right for Le'Veon, he became a selfish ball player. I never heard the offensive line say Le'Veon was selfish as long as he was running behind him, getting 1,400 yards, becoming an all-pro. It was the moment that he said, you know what, guys? I see what y'all doing here, Steelers. Y'all gonna make me play this contract out, franchise me, franchise me again, and then tell me, okay, go find you another team.
You said that, Ben can't make those calls because he's not the head guy. He can't say this, he can't say that. So how can you put all of that fault on Ben when he's not the head guy? You have to put that on the head coach. You bring a head coach in there to lead everyone. I can't as a defensive captain make a rule for this team and have it go and follow it without the head coach saying that that's what it's going to be. So it has to start from
Mike
the top.
Tomlin's at fault too. Mike Tomlin he let it get here.
Okay.
But I'm not so sure how if he wasn't handcuffed, considering the way Kevin Colbert's talking, and considering how the Roonies have reacted, I'm sure when they probably went to Mike Tomlin with this, he said, y'all need to take that upstairs. This is out of my hands. There's a lot of things that could have been handled differently. But all I know is that there are two guys, and you're right. The way you view someone is shaped through the relationship that you cultivated with someone. But it's hard for me to believe because 6 straight 100-catch seasons, average of 1,200 yards, average of 8 touchdowns, all-pro this, Le'Veon. How did it get so bad so soon?
Who's saying it got bad? That's what you're saying. You're saying that all of a sudden it's got bad.
Antonio said it got bad.
I'm not saying it got bad all of a sudden. The thing that happened is, who's saying it wasn't there before?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. This could have been there before. I'm on the outside looking in right now, but if the Steelers are winning, no one's sitting there trying to wonder, how are the Steelers winning? What's going on?
Right.
You start losing, and losing uncovers a lot. So now you start dropping games. You're like, what's going on? So now what do? You pick and point to anything that they can find. Who's saying this wasn't going on for the last 3, 4, 5 years?
I believe there was an underlying thing. But here's what I'm saying. Think about this. The Steelers started the season 7-2-1. And no one mentioned Le'Veon Bell. The moment they started losing, Le'Veon Bell was a distraction. Le'Veon Bell being selfish. What Le'Veon got to do with this? You was fine with that. You didn't even mention Le'Veon when you were 7-2-1.
This is mostly about Antonio Brown, and you know him very well. In fact, I can make the case you know him as well as anybody on that team over the last 5, 6 years knows him, right? Okay. I liked what you said about it's their truth. Your truth is Ben's a good leader. But Antonio's truth is he's a bad leader. He criticized me. He called me out, called out James Washington, that he's got too much power. I'm afraid of how much power he has. That's his truth.
Yes.
Okay? So he wanted out, and he successfully, bully for him, he talked his way right out of Pittsburgh. And he talked his way into a pretty good situation in Oakland, I think, for him. And he got more money, which is shockingly great to me. Like, he pulled that off. You got to give him, okay, way to go.
He had 2 years left with no money and got an extra year with more money.
So he got it. And I don't know if you've talked to him recently, but he's got to be pretty happy with that.
Definitely.
But I'm telling you that you were blessed because you got to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How many years was it?
14.
14 years, and then you got to finish with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. That's pretty great. So your whole path was blessed. Your path was pretty blessed. I believe Antonio's going to wake up mid-season next year and think, I kind of miss it in Pittsburgh because it's a great place to play football. Despite all this stuff going on, it's still great. It's a great heritage. Were
you there with that first Super Bowl when they went in 2005?
Yeah.
So you was there for both Super Bowls. Have you seen the evolution in Ben? Was Ben like he is right now back then?
No. People change. I'm not the same person, that I was at 30 that I am now at 40. I wasn't the same person at 20 that I was at 30 and so on and so forth. Good, bad, that's up to the individual. I think I'm a better person, now than I was 10 years ago.
How'd you treat people before you became Defensive Player of the Year and a Pro Bowl and All-Pro? How did you treat players?
I treated players the same way I do now. It's just that the perception of me, as far as until you get to know me, is, he's crazy, he's out of control. If you get to know me, you're like, James is one of the nicest people I ever met.
Right.
No, he's crazy and he's out of control.
Right? And I just think the thing is that when you're not asked to be a leader and things go well, and then all of a sudden that's an awful lot to be a leader of a team.
Okay.
And to get people to follow. Skip, I don't care what Kevin Colbert says. This is not elementary school. You can't say, okay, Jenny's in front and follow Jenny. Okay. That's not how it works in the locker room.
And people don't respond to that.
No.
I'm going to say this one last time. Ben Roethlisberger has been called out. He is on the hot seat going into next year, and I think he's going to have a monster year next year because I think he had a really good year last year. And now the Shannon Sharpes of the world are going to drive him to say, okay, watch this.
Either way.
Yeah.
James, it was good to get your take on all this. Appreciate you being here and your honesty.
I see
all
my
right.
homeboy working out regular, though.
Did the Cowboys, what are you talking about?
Pat, my homeboy.
Okay.
Patrick
We're talking about the
Mahomes.
Cowboys next, Shannon.
Oh, my
Did
goodness.
they make a big addition this
Yep.
weekend?
No.
We'll
Yep.
see what these two think next.